Welcome Internet community. Today we're going to learn how to apply tile mortar to finish my upstairs bathroom. Put some tile on the floor. Now, let me show you some of the things that we're going to need to perform this wondrous project. Alright, first of all, we have our mixing spatula paddle, which will be inserted into your corded drill. You're going to want to make sure you have something fairly heavy duty, because I can tell you from experience, you use a weak drill, you're going to end up with a pile of melted plastic before your stuff's mixed. This stuff is really heavy, it's really hard to churn up, and you got to run it for a long time. Even this drill is going to get a little hot while we're mixing it. You're going to want your handy little spatula, scissors to cut up in the bag, safety glasses because you do not want this stuff in your eyes. It stings, it burns, it's very unpleasant. It's even unpleasant on your fingers. Bucket to mix this stuff up in, and of course your mortar. Now, one of the things you're going to want to make sure is that you actually get the correct mortar for your application, because using the wrong stuff will just result in, tiles falling off, stuff not sticking right, coming up from the floor, just a whole mess that you're going to have to then scrape off and do over the right way again. So specifically for this job, I'm putting porcelain tile on top of concrete backer board, so I bought latex modified mortar, floor and wall, for insulating tile for installing tile on floor and walls. Excellent. Oh yes, one final thing we're going to need. Lots and lots of water. It's going to be great. Let's begin. This stuff is great, as you can see. Powdery. It ain't that bad to you until you actually get it in the water. Otherwise it's just this sort of gray, delicious powder. It's very coarse. It'll get in the air, it'll get in your lungs. It's fantastic. Make a mess. In fact, I'm going to do this down here so I don't get the nice deck all messed up. Air bag. All right. Tool.
So would you recommend doing this outside?
Absolutely, or in a garage, maybe with the garage door open. On a hard surface or on the dirt. Dirt's probably better, because if you spill some, it'll just dry into a hard rock. You can just pick it up, throw it away. You spill it on your concrete, it'll kind of stick. It can stain and discolor it. So yeah, definitely outdoor sort of project, unless you're doing it in the winter, and then I'd say a garage tarp down. Maybe with the garage door open for ventilation. It's not that bad, but say drill mode. Forward would be pleasant. Yep. All right. Glasses. You're gonna need about, see if I had to guess, you're gonna need about maybe half as much water as you have mortar compound in there. So, and there's no real, I'm sure the bag has some sort of metric on, mix such and such a number of, scoops of this with gallons of water. The metric just is you mix until it's a paste consistency. Let's go. You want to be generous with the water at the beginning, because the whole point here is to not destroy your tool. I can already tell. You want to take a look in there. I absolutely need lots more water, because it's still chalky and dusty after mixing that little bit. And if you add too much water and you get soup, as long as you didn't use your whole bag, you're just pouring more dust. It's like baking a cake. Yeah. So what is that? That's a little too soupy, and I need some more powder anyway, because I wanted more mix. Now I'll show you.
Okay.
It's just a little too liquidy. I like it just a bit stiffer, because it has to kind of hold its shape as we're using the tool to apply it. So we're going to add a little more. And we'll see, we might have to do a little more water if I add too much dust. Alright, here, Zeki. Let's see my tool. Pick it up.
Wow.
Yep. See how it's not totally liquid? It's keeping,
chocolate.
Like ice cream a little bit, where you can make little swirls with it. That's kind of what you want. I don't want it so dry that I can't spread it, but I don't want it so wet that it won't hold its shape a little bit. You're going to want to step back for this step. You clean your paddle off. It's very simple. You just take your paddle out of the dirt and you spin it really fast. There you go. Nice and clean.
There's a smudge. What did Daddy make, Zach?
Mud, as it's called in the industry.
Wow, chocolate!
As you can see from my attire, you may want to wear not your best pair of pants. It'll come off.
Oh, don't lick it, buddy.
And then you gotta let that sit for 5 minutes before you use it. It has to thicken up on its own. See you in 5 minutes. Alright guys, so welcome to the master bathroom. It's very echoey in here because it's very open and brand new. So we've got our mud that we mixed up. As you can see, I've already got a few of them down since doing the last bucket. A couple of things you'll need, obviously, for this stage. You're going to need some of these tile spacers. Should be available wherever you got your tile stuff. They come in different sizes. The size of the spacer is obviously going to determine the size of your grout line between the tiles. So I chose 1/4 inch. It's kind of big, but I like it. So this is my underfloor heating mat. These run about $100 and the thermostat's usually about another $100. But they'll heat the tiles. They have to go underneath the mastic, but on top of the subfloor. As you see, I have this concrete subfloor going down. And you really want to be careful with these because if you damage any of this wire in any way, even a little bit, the whole thing's just going to stop working. So it's kind of a waste of money if you throw it in there and end up breaking it, putting the tile on. I already had all my tiles cut and laid out in here, so I have my pattern all ready to go. Just need to glue them down. That's really a good idea because then you're not cutting tiles while your glue's drying on the floor. Alright, just gonna plop it down. And this is your edged trowel we're going to use to spread this. The reason why you want to spread this with one of these instead of just spreading it like, caulk or drywall compound or anything, you really need those grooves to get a good bond on the bottom of the tiles so they don't pop up and come out on you at a later date. Alright, so I'm being real careful with this mat not to push down to break those wires. When I get over here, more in like the real area, I'm going to be real tough with it and drag it almost horizontal. Because the only way you get the full height of your teeth here is if you do it that way. But over the mat, if you do that, you're going to end up breaking it. So you kind of cheat a little bit. One of the things to remember when you're doing this, you don't have to be a perfectionist. It doesn't have to be perfect everywhere. It's still going to stick the tile just fine. You just want to try to get the grooves under the entire body of where the tile is going to go. And this stuff is too thin. I already tried to thicken it up once. Alright, so I got my mud spread far enough to do maybe, looks like 2 tiles. In a sec, just make sure I got plenty of coverage. And they are not the most beautiful tile lines, but they'll do. Alright, half tile on this edge. There's no real technique or secret to this. You just sort of put it where it's about going to go and let it plop down. You do kind of want to jiggle it down and see if you can get it. You want to worry about tiles popping up above the height of some of the other tiles. You don't want a big step up like this one kind of has one, but that's because this mat ends under here and there's a big wire on the other side. You can fill sort of that gap, like if you run your hand over it, you'll kind of feel where there's a bit of a height difference, high and low. You'll be able to fill some of that with grout, but if it's way too high, it's just going to be plain obvious that you got a whole tile just sticking up. So you just keep going with your tiles. So the thing with this this glue, this mastic, It is liquid now. When it dries, it will be as hard as concrete. If you need to remove it after it's dry, you will have to do so with a chisel and a hammer, and you will risk breaking the tiles while you're doing that as well. So it's actually a good idea to carry like a rag with you and go along and try to get anywhere where you have some of that going on. And also, one of the things you can do, it's wise to do it, even tells you to do it on the bag. This glue will get tacky. I shouldn't call it glue, it's cement. It'll get tacky in about a couple hours, 2 or 3. You still don't want to walk on it, but what you can do is you can come by after it's tacky enough that the tiles aren't really going to move anymore, and you can rub a rag over all the haze and try to get it off. Alright, so that's about all there is to it. Just keep going, tiling. Enjoy your day.